Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of almost all ages, with parental consent, the sick twisted minds at Sacrificial Pond Productions brings you a new style horror film, like nothing you have seen before. There are no cops, no investigations. There is no backstory, no follow-up of the victims who were brutally tortured and murdered. Our story isn't about them. Normal Terror is about a single dad struggling to make ends meet. His son is his first priority. He goes to work, pays his bills, and is generally a great dad. The twist comes after he puts his son to bed. This is where he releases his stress. Some people do yoga, some hit the gym, some go for runs, some people paint on a canvas. An anonymous source once wrote on an abandoned asylum wall, "I never understood people until I took one apart just to see how it worked." If you are rear-ended in traffic, most people's thought runs to anger and their primal instincts of hurting the other party. Sam Neill does not have the ability to stop that primal instinct. Let us take you into the mind of a killer. Normal Terror is a concept from the mind of Sam Mason, who wrote, directed, produced, and is starring in this new age feature film.
Let's get slicing and dicing with Sir Sturdy horror fans. On this podcast, you will hear me and a guest do some movie reviews, random funny horror chats, and whatever else comes to mind. So tune in, kick back, relax, and always remember, I'll see you in your nightmares.
Well, just Jason's mask.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Another exciting, awesome episode of Horror with Sir Sturdy is about to drown your ears. This episode, I have two awesome guests. Matthew, he's been on here plenty of times. Matt, what's up?
What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going great. And I got the awesome DINO, who hit me up on Twitter, actually, to be on an episode. And he requested this movie, The Thing from 1982. DINO, how's it going?
I'm going good. How you been?
I'm great, man. Ready to get this rolling. I'm glad you guys are here helping me out with this episode. So, since you requested this movie, Dino, I'll let you get into it. It's a spoiler podcast, so whatever you want to discuss in this movie is perfectly fine. I'll let you start it off, and then Matt, when he's done, you could take over.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, this movie has a special place in my heart. It's probably in my top 5 of favorite horror movies, and probably in my top 10 of favorite movies in general. It came out in '82. I actually saw this in the theater. My dad took us to see it, and I was all of 8 years old. So as you can imagine, that was probably pretty damn traumatic for me, and really set the stage for my taste and my life. My dad was notorious for doing stuff like this. He took us to go see the original Invasion of the not the original, but the 70s Invasion of the Body Snatchers in the theater. I think he wanted to just see us, cry and squirm. but yeah, I mean, this movie really made me love horror movies in particular. And at 8 years old, I was probably one of the few people, my age that knew who John Carpenter was and had a pretty good framework on his body of work. I recognized that he was a guy that did, Halloween and, Escape from New York at that point. And that was pretty much what I knew about. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about a movie, all male cast, which I thought even at that time was a little odd. I'm used to a girl in a horror movie who is a damsel, and these are just a group of guys, in this isolated, frozen wasteland with this creature that they absolutely have no idea what the hell is, going on. And you know, actually they're put in a situation where they don't know what's going on because the first thing is this freaking chopper, shooting at a dog. And it's like, what the hell is all this about? And then as soon as they take that dog in, all hell breaks loose on the camp there.
Yeah, this movie, like I said, this movie right here, I seen the remake before I seen this one, and I like how they kind of lined up together. Like usually when you see a remake, you don't really see. I'm not gonna say it was exactly the same, but it was really close. I know you were saying it was like a prequel, the other one, but it was still.
Yeah, well, if you notice, this is, in the beginning, there's the Norwegian chopper shooting at the dog.
Mm-hmm.
The newer one that came out is the story of that Norwegian camp.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
if
it's a
you
prequel
look
to
at
the
the
JC's
tail end of that movie, it butts right up with the beginning of this one.
Okay, nice.
Like you can run them, right on top of each other.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and revisit the remake then. But I mean, before I let you take over, Matt, I just wanted to ask Dino the questions that I asked you when you first came on, which it sounds like the one answer is your father's who got you into horror. So my next question to you would be, what movie scared you as a kid? Like, what's the first movie that you remember watching, a horror movie that scared you as a kid?
Let's see. It would probably be, like I said, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Okay.
The 70s one. I don't think in my mind I ever grew up not knowing that Jaws was completely terrifying to me. Back in the 70s and 80s, before VHS and before video, a movie would be out in the theater and then they would re-release it in another 2 years or 3 years, put it back in the theater for, a special event for a month or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So while Jaws came out when I was about 1, I saw it about 3 years later at a drive-in in Westbury, New York. And I was about 3 or 4, so I vaguely remember being scared to death of that movie.
That's a classic right there.
Yeah. And like I said, Invasion of Body Snatchers, the thing. But yeah, before the first one is probably Invasion of Body Snatchers, where I really remember being scared.
Mm-hmm.
Where Jaws, I think it's just been inbred in me that movie terrified me as a little child. So I just kind of take it for granted that that's my first.
Yeah.
Where I know for sure it was Invasion of Body Snatchers.
No, that's cool though.
Cool.
And Matt, about this movie, The Thing from '82. What are your thoughts on it?
For me, The Thing from 1982, John Carpenter's, is probably my number 1 to number 2 horror movie of all time. It bounces between this movie and the remake of The Blob, also from the 80s. Both of these films, fantastic special effects. Oh my God, everything is completely well done. The acting is well done. Now, I remember seeing the original from 1957 or 51 called The Thing from Another World. I remember seeing that with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
And him and I used to watch the old black and whites on TV, and James Arness playing the giant thing creature. Just a dude wearing makeup and everything, throwing people around. But when this movie came out, a remake of The Thing, it blows the original out of the water. It's big time. And a lot of times, usually with remakes, they're usually, okay, they're remaking the film. It's almost like the same movie, or they change certain things around which you don't like because you like the original. But not with this movie. This movie completely destroys the original. Insane. How everyone is kind of fighting against one another with the whole infection of this alien parasite that gets inside of you and stays dormant until the right time and makes you pretty much explode. Blood, guts, goo everywhere. It's insane. I freaking love watching this movie. I sat down with my wife during this past winter where we had the bad snowstorms, and She's like, let's watch a winter movie. I'm like, all right, let's watch The Thing. It's perfect. And she's like, you know what? I love that movie, but I never saw the prequel. I'm like, we're getting the prequel out right now.
Nice.
And we played it, and then she goes, okay, now let's watch John Carpenter. So we went from the prequel to John Carpenter's one, and it just plays well. There's a special feature in the prequel. The director actually watched John Carpenter's movie several times to get certain placement of certain items perfect for the movie. It was incredible. So when you're watching, when Kurt Russell's team goes to that Norwegian outpost, they see the axe that's in the wall there, the guy that committed suicide, the blood freezing. He made sure that the axe was perfectly placed. He made sure that's the dude that's got to sit this way in the chair with the ice drooling. Oh, the Thing is, I think, a 10 out of 10 film by obsolete. If you're a horror fan, you definitely have to own this movie. This is like a must own, like a Bible type movie. It's a must.
Matt, I remember when me and you were just discussing having a random horror chat or something. You brought this movie up a couple times. That one, you want to do a podcast on it, and two, you really love this movie. So
yes.
we're finally doing it.
Finally doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, oh my goodness, the special effects were so freaking amazing with this. I'm just like, holy shit, from 82, this is just, wow. And you already know how I am. I know how you are, Matt, with the love special effects, can't stand the freaking overdone CGI stuff. And this was just like, I'm just sitting here watching it. I'm like, why can't they still do this kind of stuff now for movies, horror movies? It would look so great, because I feel like people would be, in a sense, I feel like some people would be more knowledgeable with the special effects, and just, with the animatronics and all that, you'd have a little bit better technology to make things move a little bit better and all that stuff. And I was just like, this looks so freaking good. This movie was shot so well, and it was in a small, like you guys were saying, it was in just a small deserted area. It's not like it took up, a huge area. It was just in a small area, and they just did so much with it. And you had like well, for me personally, like when you're watching these characters, if you kind of have like a feel for them, like, okay, these guys aren't so bad, they're kind of cool, and then you kind of pick out the ones that are just like, oh shit, you really do need to watch out for this guy and this guy just because the way they're acting. And right or wrong, you just have a certain, like, I gotta watch out for this guy. This guy is fucking crazy. And one part that's sticking out to me right now is when the oh man, I can't remember the guy's name. Remember the guy they locked up in the tool shed?
Mm-hmm.
When they go down, when they're going down trying to blow up the whole place, and he grabs the one guy by the face, and his fingers like going in his face. I was like, that was just,
Yeah.
It looks so good.
That was Blair.
Yeah, yep. That part right there to me just looks so freaking good. And then the thing at the end, that I was just like, that thing right there, I don't know if there is a horror figure out of it, but if there is, I want it.
There actually is I actually have the figure.
Oh,
there is a Thing figure from the movie Maniacs line.
Okay.
Of the Thing. But it's the one where, I think it's the one where the dog sled, the team scene where the dogs are in the cage.
Uh-huh.
And it's coming out of the ground, and the dog's coming out. I got to revisit the figure and see if it's that one or the one from the end.
Either
but
or.
The movie Maniacs put it out.
Either or, either one would be cool. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I saw it at a store, and I thought, that's mine.
Yep.
Yeah, what I thought was cool, I mean, it was amazing, is at the time, Rob Bottin, who did the special effects makeup for this, was like 22 years old.
Wow.
He was like this little punk kid who drove himself like into a nervous breakdown, of exhaustion, trying to figure this out. They were like, well, here's a good idea. Let's have a guy's head become a freaking spider. And he's like, okay, let's see if we can make this work. So kind of threw it together, and I mean, like you said, looks amazing. And then, from what I understand, he actually had to take a small break, and Stan Winston came in and did like the big dog creature. I don't think he's credited. I think he gets a special thanks in the movie. But special effects master Stan Winston did the dog stuff. And like I said, I mean, 22 years old, fresh, face, making a name for himself, with this movie. It's ridiculous.
But it shows that what they could do with rubber and latex.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, you're not touching it.
No. Now, the crew, the special effects team, did another movie later on that they actually made kind of like the Thing, but it took place on a boat.
Oh, interesting.
It's called The Harbinger Down.
Interesting.
And, yep, it's the same crew that did the special effects for The Thing made this movie. And it's all practical except for one scene they had to use CGI. They couldn't do it. I freaking loved it. A lot of people were like, oh, they use CGI. Wah! Like, come on, who cares if they had to use CGI for a particular scene? But all the rest is all practical. Come on now.
See, I could deal with that if it's not overly CGI. Like, I understand some movies need it here and there, but if the whole damn movie is CGI, you might as well just make a cartoon.
Or put on the Sci-Fi Channel.
There you go. I got my little IMDb facts up here, and I don't know how accurate these are, but it's saying that John Carpenter has stated that out of all of his films, this one is his personal favorite, which isn't hard to believe, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know how accurate these facts are.
Yeah.
I say this one Halloween would be close.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that he actually had some severe bitterness because this was one of his favorites, but it was completely panned. Naturally you'd expect critics to pan it because they pan everything that's good and gory.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't even think a lot of audiences were ready for this when it first came out.
No, they weren't.
No. I mean, it completely screwed me up, but
when you're seeing people getting ripped apart on the big screen, your horror fanatics and your gore hounds are like, oh yeah, but you're probably a typical person who probably be running out of the theater puking or
crying.
like,
right.
Oh my god, you don't need all this gore. Oh my god, you don't need that scene. Yes, they do.
Yeah. Especially people who are going in watching this expecting to see a remake of The Thing from Another Planet.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're going in expecting to see an updated, Frankenstein vegetable carrot guy.
Right.
And this is what you get.
And this is what it's like, wow, they changed, but this was a great change that they used versus a giant vegetable dude. They made it into like an alien parasite that can just by drops of blood and you're infected and all of a sudden you're getting twisted and changed. And you don't know who's who. So you turn a group of friends, co-workers together to all of a sudden, you know what, you're acting kind of weird. I'm going to stay away from you or I'm going to attack you and person against person and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing I liked about it is like when somebody was infected or however you want to say it or taken over, you really didn't know who it was, and I'm just like that's a cool aspect to the movie. And then it got me to thinking, like, imagine if this got out further into the world, like not just in this, this deserted deadland or whatever you want to call it. 'Cause imagine if it was in let's just say New York City, for example, something like that.
Spread.
It would have been so crazy.
Now, saying that what you said before, you didn't know who was who.
Yeah.
Online, there's this whole conspiracy thing where if you know who the person is, that's the thing. They said there was like an eye gleam or some kind of eye sparkle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after reading that, I'm popping in the film, and I know, since I've seen this movie a billion times, I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm looking at their eyes, and like, I don't see a gleam or a sparkle or anything. It's like, where are they getting this gleam from? Sorry, you don't know. You just watch the movie.
That was just to get people to go back and watch it again. And that person was just saying like, "Yep, you got you to watch it again."
Who cares? I'll watch it again. This movie's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah. And that's, the cool thing about the end of the movie, because that was, McCready, played by Kurt Russell. That was his whole thing was, I might die. I know I'm human, and I might die killing this thing, but damn it, this thing is going to die before the thaw comes and, before spring and everybody else comes and this thing can go out into the world. He's hellbound, determined to destroy this monster. And, at the end, you've got the two guys, the big monster's dead, and you're sitting there with the, Childs and McCready, basically looking at each other going, are you the thing? Are you the thing?
Yeah.
Damn it. I don't know. And if you are, I can't do a damn thing about it right now. And that was something that really haunted me, is at the end of the movie, they may have defeated the monster, but they're still dead anyway.
Yep.
Because they got to sit out there in the cold. And there's no way to last in a couple of hours.
That's true.
I mean, that's haunting.
That's true.
And another thing, too, that's scary is, let's say they don't make it. They freeze to death. The parasite can live through being frozen. So in case they decide to make a sequel, like, maybe they'll get Child's body and McCready's body together. Less if one was actually a real thing, and all of a sudden now it can spread again. So this thing can win just by staying dormant in one of these people, and just like, whatever, okay, freeze to death. I'll come out back again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's shit. I never even thought of it. That's very, that's very, very true with that one. Let me think. So, what else you guys have to say about this movie?
The movie's just fantastic. I don't know. I cannot find a fatal flaw to this movie.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that. I mean, I would love to disagree. That way we can
have a
debate, but I've got nothing. I mean, yeah.
Like, you don't need like a female to be naked in it. You don't need that. You don't need guns toting, blowing up, and everything. You're stuck in an Antarctic station. You have what you have. So basically, they said they're destroying parts of the facility to stay alive, and all of a sudden, that ending is perfect. I would not change anything out of this movie.
That's awesome.
Yep. I mean, McCready, he's a great lead. He's not the smartest guy by far, but he's the one that seems to be the most mentally prepared to handle this. Childs, I think he's a great character.
Yeah.
And I mean, which honestly, and in the time, I think that's awesome. You've got this, black character who isn't your comic relief, isn't, your token character, but he's just a strong kick-ass character. Just for the sake, of being a strong character.
Which is awesome. That's actually really awesome, seeing as how, like you said, he wasn't the comic relief. He didn't get killed off first or some stupid ass kill. He made it to the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this was a movie, like, I'm sure if you guys have heard some of my episodes, I always talk about liking to see, who doesn't like to see a pair of titties in the movie? But I actually wasn't mad that there wasn't any in the movie. If there was, I wouldn't have been mad at that either. But it really, like you guys were saying, it really didn't need a female character, a damsel in distress, a female lead. I think it worked, and it might have even worked better because of that fact that there wasn't one in it. You just had, like, the strong male leads, and just seeing, I don't know, it was different, but I enjoyed it. It was fun, and, like, I like how I like the energy of the movie. I like the anger, like when these guys got mad and angry and just what was the guy's name? Was it Windows with the curly hair?
Yep.
Yeah.
Windows and oh man, just like I like how when shit hit the fan, everybody was kind of pointing the finger, like, listen, I don't want to be around him. I don't want to go out with him. You know, like just nobody was comfortable. Everybody was kind of on alert, which makes the movie, I guess you can say, a little more scary and more realistic in a sense of like if something crazy is going on, you're gonna be on alert. You're not gonna if there's something that can take over your body, like, so to speak. You're not gonna trust anybody around you really. You're gonna
Paranoia sticks in pretty
Yes,
quick in this
yes.
movie.
which
Oh yeah.
I like that because I wish I can think of a movie, but there's a lot of horror movies where shit's going on and everybody's just acting like it's a regular day and nobody's really too worried about it until they see like half of the fucking people that they're hanging out with get killed. Then all of a sudden people are like, oh shit, something's going on. But this one, they see something and they're just like, we got to do something about this.
And you kind of went into the movie even before everything really came down, feeling tension. You know that there was tension in this place anyway, because you had that guy with a Gary, who took out his gun and blew away the Norwegian, and they were all kind of like, oh yeah, Gary, found the first opportunity to use his gun on this guy, whatever. There was already this sense of tension that everyone thought Gary was this controlling dick anyway.
That's true.
So I think that tension and the whole status symbol of power and all this was already heavy in the camp before all this crap came around.
I also liked how, since they're in the Antarctic and the creature's main weakness is fire,
Yeah.
there's not much you can burn in the snow.
No.
You're very limited to what you have.
That's so
And
true.
and of course they set it out on fire, and of course the snow will melt around it and put it out, or the cold will make it die down pretty quickly. You just can't go out in the woods, build a fire really quick, and lead it out, blow it up, and you're good to go. Nope, you gotta figure out what you have for resources and go from there. You can't go outside and run away. You're in negative degree fucking cold. You're gonna freeze to death.
Right.
Not much you can do, but you're contained. You're stuck. You got to figure out what you have for your sources.
Yeah.
That's what makes it more freakier too.
Yes, and what you just said right there, Matt, with the coldness, you had nowhere to go. Like, you have to use your shit to survive that you have there at the little camp area, whatever you want to call it. This movie right here is a big reason why I wish they would do more horror-related movies in the winter. But, like, say, for you, I'm a huge slasher fan, so, like, a slasher movie in the winter, but it's like, okay, we can only go so far. We can't really just run and take off like a summer slash. You can run and take off, and it's nice outside. So you can be outside for hours and fucking be good. But in this shit, you can't be outside for more than a half hour, let's say, or you're gonna freeze to death. And especially if you don't know the area and all that, and it's a huge area. It's just, I don't know. This movie was just done really, 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 really well, and I'm gonna have to revisit this movie again just in case there was anything I missed, and I gotta go back and watch the remake, which is a prequel. Maybe I'll watch that one first and then go into that after. And I definitely got to revisit these though.
Yeah. I mean, and like Matt said, the cold, is the worst enemy of the survivors, and it's the best friend of the creature, because that thing lay dormant for, what were they saying? I mean,
it could lay dormant forever because
tens of thousands of years it had laid dormant already. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
but if you're looking for a winter slasher out in the snow, I recommend Blood Runs Cold.
Blood Runs Cold. I will definitely have to check that out.
Just made me think of that for a second. Sorry.
No, it's hey Matt, you've been on this podcast plenty of times. You know we talk about a movie, we jump around about other horror topics, we get back to the movie, we keep jumping around. It's what makes it fun, I guess.
Hey, it's just a bunch of guys talking about horror films. What we like to talk about.
Exactly.
Blood Runs Cold, you said. Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Adding that one to the list. I appreciate that.
Hey, no problem.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
The Matt you go to him for any type of horror movie and he either has it or he'll lead you in the direction to find it.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
my
I know
goodness.
there was the horror series Slasher,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
and the first season took place, in the suburbs and around Halloween time and stuff, but the second season took place at a camp that got turned into like a hippie commune retreat type thing.
Yep.
And
it was
that
during the winter time.
season took place in the winter.
Oh, nice.
I wish they would put that on Blu-ray. The first season's out, but there's no notice of season 2. I'm like, I want season 2.
I think season 2, I believe, is on Netflix.
Yeah, I know I'm sure season 1 is still too. I started season 1 with my wife. We never finished it though. We enjoyed it. It's just you got so many shows and movies you want to watch. You're always jumping around. Now that I started this podcast, I'm kind of just sticking to like what people request and just doing that. But I gotta move around a little bit more to see some more. Like tomorrow, like I told you guys, I'm doing Sinister with my brother-in-law. So that's gonna be
Nice.
another fun filled episode right there. He hasn't seen it yet. I've seen it quite a few times. I have no idea what my rating's gonna be yet, but I don't have a favorite horror movie, but that's like out of the ones that came out in the 2000s, that's definitely up there.
Nice.
But yeah, back on this movie though, I really don't have any complaints about this movie, to be honest with you. And it's just I don't know. It was a real fun film, like I said earlier. The kills, the gore. Oh my goodness, I love gore, and I love the gore. The gore in this movie was just great. It worked so great, and the thing, it was gory looking, beastly, ugly, but it was beautiful all at the same time.
And it was always different. It never looked the same.
Yes.
No. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay, guys, what's your favorite scene in this movie?
Favorite scene.
Or favorite kill or whatnot, but like the one scene that you know it's coming up, you're like, oh, here it is, my favorite part.
Okay. Well, like I said, this is a first time watch for me as far as this one, the original one. Well, the one from the 80s, I should say. It's when I think it's the guy Windows. When the thing is in whose body was it in? Let me think. I believe it was the guy. I don't remember the guy's name, but I think it's the scene where they're checking everybody's blood, and the one guy kind of starts
tied to the bench. Yep.
Yeah, the one guy kind of starts shaking, and then like the thing comes out of his head, and it grabs the guy Windows by his upper body. Was that the same? That was the same part.
Yeah.
Right? That right there was probably, if I had to choose a favorite scene, I think that right there was like my favorite scene.
Do you know?
Mm-hmm. Mine would probably be when they were doing CPR on Norris,
That's mine too.
and, and his hands went right through, and the chest teeth, and then freaking the head comes right off and turns into a freaking spider.
That was awesome.
Crawls away. Yep.
That's mine too. Just that whole scene.
That was
wow.
Oh wow.
Chest bursts open. It's got teeth there, and it clamps down.
And
I'm like, fuck.
rips his hands off. Yeah, that was a fucking awesome scene right there.
I mean, you even had that little comic relief when he's crawling away, and I think it's Palmer that turns and it's like, you gotta be fucking kidding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You just blast him with the flamethrower.
Yep.
Oh, I love that damn flamethrower, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Mac wants a what? Mac wants a flamethrower.
Yep. Great.
I hope someday some movie wants to I know a lot of theaters will do like rewind films. They need to put this on the big screen again.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I would definitely go on and see this on the big screen.
Yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it. I'd 100% agree with you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I know there was one near me in Syracuse that did, and I was like, "Oh fuck, I gotta work. God damn it."
That always gets in
I
the
was
way,
so
doesn't it?
pissed.
Responsibilities always get in the way of a good time. Like, son of a
God
bitch.
damn it, I gotta pay them bills, but I
Yep.
want to watch this on the big screen.
Oh
Ah,
man,
fuck.
if it wasn't for bills, I'd be going all over the place to these every damn horror kind damn near. But okay, well I
Damn
made all
right.
this money. Let me, buy my ticket, go over this con here and there. Have
Hell
you ever
yeah.
have you ever been to any horror cons, Dino?
The last specific horror con I went to had to have been like in the 90s. It would have been about 97 in New York, in Manhattan, the Fangoria Weekend of Horrors.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and I mean, that was great. I got to meet, everybody from Phantasm, Angus Scrimm and the Tall Man and all that. Met Tom Savini, the
Oh, it's
Misfits,
awesome.
Wow. Cool.
Dee Snider, because that was right before he came out with Strangerland.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I said, I moved, down south shortly after, and I lived in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Florida, and that is downtown Fort Myers is where they shot the beginning of Day of the Dead. The very
Nice.
beginning of Day of the Dead, where they had the guy, Dr. Tongue, with the tongue hanging out of his mouth, and
Mm-hmm.
all the zombies and the alligator. All that was shot in the town I moved to. And they used to have ZombieCon there every year. And I'd go there, but it wasn't really it was just where a bunch of people hung out and walked around like zombies for the night and got drunk. Yeah, but lately it's been, Comic Cons mostly, which cross genre anyway.
Yeah.
So, and I've got 3 kids, 10 and younger, so I try to take them to that type of stuff. And then while they're there with their mother, I'll sneak over and talk to the horror people that I, meet. But I've got my oldest who is obsessed with zombies. Anything zombie games, Walking Dead, anything zombies. My youngest is gonna be 6, and she's into Five Nights at Freddy's and anything like that, jump scare type video game stuff. And my middle one doesn't want anything to do with anything horror.
That's hey, two out of three though. You got 2 out of 3 that are gonna be little
Yeah.
horror fans that I'm not sure
But yeah,
how soon you would let them, but soon, let them watch some horror movies with you and let that tradition just
yeah,
keep going.
my son, I've been rearing him up for a while. He's been one. I mean, the only thing that really he doesn't like anything like body horror per se.
Mm-hmm.
Like he doesn't like. However, he loves The Thing. He didn't have a problem with that, but he doesn't like werewolf movies. He
Okay.
doesn't like it bugs with his head for some reason.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's okay. We watched Creep Show
Mm-hmm.
couple of months ago, and the only story he did not like is the one where Stephen King turns into a bush.
Oh, okay.
Because he did like the morphing thing messed with his head. And I'm like, we all have I grew up being afraid of haunted dolls,
Mm-hmm.
So we all have our thing, I guess.
Oh yeah, it happens. He'll get into those movies though eventually. But
don't watch Street Trash
happens.
right now with him.
Oh man, that movie was that Matt. As a matter of Matt, that episode will be out in a couple of weeks. But that movie was just so fun. It was messed up. It was funny. I enjoyed it. Fun, hilarious. I don't even know what to say about that movie. I forgot what we said about that movie, to be honest with you. I'll have to listen to it when it comes out. Which actually, I have a question for both of you guys. Since both of you guys have a podcast out, I know Dino, you said you only have 2 episodes out right now. I know more are going to be coming out. But when you guys like when the episodes are all done and mixed out, mixed down and out, when you guys put them out for the public to listen to, do you guys go back and listen to them when the public can listen to them? Do you like go? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I for my day job, I drive from one end of South Carolina to the other, so I've got a lot of windshield time.
Okay.
So I don't. I listen to music, but I like to have someone talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely put in a podcast and sometimes I'll at least once listen to my own.
Okay.
Just to see how it sounds in the car. To me,
Yep.
It's like that's the true test is how the truck picks up the audio.
And what about you, Matt?
Sometimes I can. If I get a chance to, I will. A lot of times I'll listen to it just to see, okay, what mistake do I do to improve? Do I say too many times, or do I ramble on too many times, which unfortunately I do. So that's the one thing I need to fix. But other than that, I don't have a lot of time to listen to podcasts with my work. I can't sit there and listen because I work in the hospital, so therefore you don't have that downtime. I wish I did.
Yeah.
But when I do get a chance, I'll listen to as many podcasts I can through a day and go from there. But yeah, I do listen to myself talk.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Look, I'm the same way though, man. Matter of fact, the whole rambling thing, I like when people like when we're on recording or whatever. This is me personally recording. I like when people have a lot to say versus the dead space. Dead space and the dead air is just it's like shit.
Yeah, what do you say? What do you do?
Yep. But I'm gonna answer my own question. Every single episode that I've put out so far, and I believe I have 22 out right now. I listen to every single episode. I like when I'm done recording, my brother produces them for me, so I'll send them to him, and I don't listen to them in between. He'll send them back to me. I'll listen to the beginning, because sometimes I'll send him a bunch, and he'll send me a bunch back. So sometimes I'll listen to the beginning just to see what episode it actually is, and that's it. I'll put it out there, and when it comes out there for everybody else to hear, that Monday or Tuesday or whatever at work, I'll be listening to that podcast, sitting in my cubicle, laughing my ass off at some of the stuff we discussed, because I forget. Like, I remember bits and pieces once I listen to the episode, but a lot of times I'll forget because I haven't heard these episodes in a few, if I'm recording every week and I haven't heard some of these episodes in a few weeks. But I listen to them and I enjoy it. I was asking other people about this, and a lot of them say they don't. They said they did, they said they did in the beginning of their podcast, like when they first came out, but they don't anymore. But I honestly don't see myself stopping listening to my own podcast just to kind of hear the discussions, kind of hear how things play out, and maybe sometimes I'll listen to my podcast and like, oh, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can throw this in there for an episode or throw this in there just as other ideas for discussions and all that. So, yeah, I definitely do.
I go back to listen to older ones, too, as well. Just to, like, oh, yeah, I remember this one time we did this podcast, and I'll re-listen to it going, oh, yeah, I remember that. That was fun. Or, oh, we should have talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's all different, but it's fun to do.
It really is.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
With our podcast, I said we tried not to make it sound like a show. We wanted it to genuinely be a phone conversation between me and Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we record it, we try to make it seem like we're hanging out.
Yeah.
So naturally, I usually forget what I've said by half of the episode on because I've had a few in me by that time. and so is he. And he normally does the editing, most of it. So I have to go back and listen to it, or else I really don't know what we talked about toward the end of the episode. So yeah, just for entertainment purposes, I have to go back and listen to it, or else I just never know what the hell went on.
Yeah, I guess I can get why some people don't listen to their own. Some people just don't want to hear their own voice in their ear, which I understand that. But me, I'm just like, I just like going back and listening to the conversation because it's hilarious. and it's a good, it's a good fun conversation usually, and shit, it's
Mhm.
horror. It's horror, and it helps me get me through my boring ass work day. I'll say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you can also learn from it too, going, oh, I say like too many times that word, or I kind of embarrassed myself doing that. I shouldn't do that next time.
Yeah, yep.
Or there's certain things that you listen to and you learn, and then when you do your next show, you're like, okay, now I know what I did from the previous. I'll do it again because I know actors and actresses will not. Some of them will not watch their own movies because I guess is if they have like a little quirk that they do, they're afraid they'll keep doing that quirk or they'll keep doing certain things.
Right.
But you're listening to yourself talk. It's a lot different than moving. If
Yeah.
certain
Oh
people
yeah.
talk with their hands or they're picking their nose while they're talking, it's like you're not going to do that during a podcast because no one can see it. Who cares if you're picking your nose or you're scratching your balls? No one cares about that. It cares what's coming out of our mouths
Yeah. That's
Right.
and
that's
listening.
that's a good
That's
way.
the fun part.
That's a good way of putting it. Oh shit, man. That's a good way of putting it right there.
Thank you, thank you.
Somebody had to do it.
Yep, that's me.
So I'm
Usually the
gonna
one that does that.
yeah, me too. You beat me to it this time. So
Did you do the ratings on it?
I was just getting ready to say let's jump into the good old slicing and dicing with Sir Sturdy segment. And Dino, I'll let you go first. My question for you is, I already know you guys would rewatch this movie, but I'm gonna ask the question anyway. So, would you rewatch this movie? Would you recommend this movie for someone who's never seen it? And what would you rate this movie from 1 to 10? Matt, you got to help me out with this because you know how I like to make my ratings like 1 to 10. What do you want to call it? 1 to 10 things?
1 to 10. Let's see, because we got this, we got that. Oh, that's kind of hard with this one because you got chest bursting, you got head explosions, you got flame throwers. Let's call it 1 out of 10. I don't know. Damn it, this one's hard now.
It's tough. It really is. Like with the Jason movie or something, you could say 1 to 10 Jason masks, machetes, counselors. This, it's kind of hard to choose one. So what I'm
One
gonna
out of 10. Are you the thing?
1 out of 10. Are you the thing?
10 out of 10. Yeah, things. 10 out of 10. Are you the thing or things? I don't know.
It's a tough one. I'll say okay. I'll do this. I'll do something a little bit different with this one. Then I'll say 1 out of 10, and then you choose what your 1 out of 10 is. For example, the chest burst. 1 out of 10 things. 1 out of 10 flamethrowers. So when you do your rating, say you're gonna give it blank out of blank. Blank out of blank. So again, Dean, I'll let you go first with the movie rating. Would you rewatch it, and would you recommend this movie?
Okay. Yes, I would watch it. I would probably watch it once a month, just so it doesn't get, old.
Mm-hmm.
I think once a month, it can stay fresh for me forever.
Yeah.
On that, I love it, and I would give myself on a scale of 1 to 10, I am a 10 complete absorption of the thing.
Nice.
Nice.
10 complete absorption of the thing. So this will be the third movie that's got a 10 rating on here. And Matt, do you want to take over? Same
Sure.
questions?
Would I rewatch it? Absolutely. And no problems. This movie has so much rewatchability, especially since after your first watch, you watch it again going, okay, how do they react? How can you tell that person is the thing? Or you know it's coming. So even though that mystery is already gone, but it's fun to watch. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. I always tell people if they've never seen it, what are you doing? Go home, sit in front of the couch, and watch this movie right now. and we'll talk about it afterwards. It's so much fun. And out of a possible 1 to 10, it is a 10 out of 10 shape-shifting aliens.
Nice.
Oh,
I like that. And I guess it's my turn. And I will say, yes, I definitely rewatched this movie. I actually plan to. I'm just not sure when. I want to do the prequel first and then this one. I would hell yes. I would definitely, again, definitely, people. When you hear this podcast, go watch this movie. We didn't even spoil it too much, which is surprising. We might still say some more stuff as this episode goes on, though. But and my rating is gonna be a shit. It's gonna be a 10 out of 10 flamethrowers for me. And I say that because I feel like this movie was damn near perfect. It was so well done. It was great for its time. I loved the fucking special effects. I love it was like, it was a cool movie. It was a cool horror movie. Like Dino was saying earlier, without a female in the movie, it's a horror movie. You're used to seeing the female, the damsel in distress and all that. And there was none of that. It was just a guy movie. Not that only guys can watch it. I mean, like, as far as in the movie, just a guy movie. And, like, just a lot of anger. And I think there was a lot of testosterone in there. And maybe because there was no females there, that's why they were so pissed off, which I get it. It makes sense. But it was just, again, I always say this. I love watching these horror movies in the snow. And this is a movie that was shot very well in the snow. And I feel like if this movie was done in any other season, it might not have worked as well, just because this how this thing has stayed dormant for so many years, frozen. And like I said, if you haven't seen it, go out there and watch it. So my next question for you guys, and I'll answer it first. It's what would you change about this movie, if anything? I pretty much just answered that. I wouldn't change a thing about this movie. Like I said that.
You said a thing.
Yep. So, Dino, what would you change about this movie, if anything?
Nothing. And that's the thing. I mean, we both, all three of us rather, gave this a 10. And I don't think I've ever met one person who's had a borderline opinion on this movie.
Mm-hmm.
They've either completely loved it or completely hated it. For, you're either all in or you're all out with this movie, I think. I don't think I've ever met someone who would say, it's about a 6. I don't think those people exist, and if you are that person, you need your head examined.
the thing might have taken them over.
Get the flamethrower quick.
And Matt, I'm sure I know your answer, but I have to ask it anyways. What would you change about this movie?
It should have taken place on top of a volcano. No, I'm only kidding. No, this movie's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with this movie at all. Everything is set where it needs to be. You're in an isolated location. If you go outside like normal, you're going to die. If you don't survive, you're going to die. It's a fight for your life type film, and the whole paranoia that's included in this movie is perfect. Again, since we all rate it out of 10 out of 10, usually there's like nothing to maybe a minute detail we would change, but there's nothing that would change on this. This movie is awesome. This
is the first movie on this podcast that's gotten a perfect rating from all three or two, from everybody that was on the episode. I'll say that. Like, the only other, I'm trying to think. No, wait. This is the fourth movie that got a 10, I believe. The first movie was, hang on, I'm counting right now. The first movie was Jaws, that got a 10, but it wasn't unanimous. It wasn't a unanimous decision. This was a unanimous decision. But that movie got a 10. I don't know if you guys got to enjoy the amazing movie Never Hike Alone, the fan-made film on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
I've seen that.
That got a 10. And then what was the other movie? There was one more movie before this. The Evil Dead. That got a 10 by somebody on this. And now The Thing. But The Thing actually got a 10 from everybody. So that's pretty awesome.
Which Evil Dead was that?
The original.
Okay. I mean, not that I hate the remake. I thought the remake was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
You.
So I actually got two movies to recommend for you guys. I've already mentioned one. If you really like The Thing, I definitely would recommend checking out The Harbinger Down.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much the thing on on a boat, and it's the same guys that did the special effects for the '80s Thing directed this movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's another film that was put out in 2013. It's called Blood Glacier.
Blood
It
Glacier.
Blood Glacier. It's an Australian film. It's pretty much the thing, but it only affects animals.
Oh,
Wow.
So you get mutated animals.
Nice.
There's scientists working in this Australian Alps station, and they come across a giant glacier that's red, blood red. And they're like, what the hell? And whatever animal ingests the blood out of it starts to mutate. But if another animal already eats that contaminated animal,
Mhm.
starts to mutate. So let's say, well, there's one creature that was a mosquito and let's say a beaver. I'm just giving you an example.
Yeah.
If the beaver eats this mosquito, now this beaver mutates. It can grow wings. It can grow the mosquito beak. It can grow all different things. It starts to mutate into all these different concoctions of a creature.
Nice.
But it doesn't affect humans at all.
Interesting.
It was really cool.
Really freaking interesting.
Yes.
Oh man.
Check out the trailer.
I'm gonna ask you that same
yeah,
question,
you
Dino.
told me.
But Matt, can you do me a favor with that and can you post those two movies in the group, the names? But because what I'm gonna start doing, and I just came up with this like right now, is when I do the movie recommendations, I'll have people send them to me, and I'm gonna start putting them in on the episode information with a
All right.
link. That way, people can just kind of click it. But just for this one, can you or just send them to me, either or.
All right. Yeah.
And thank you. And Dino, same question for you. Do you have two horror movie recommendations you have? They can be from any era, old or new. It doesn't matter. Just two movies that, even if you haven't seen them, say if it's two movies you want to check out, two horror movies you want to check out, or two movies you really, really love that you'd recommend people to go check out.
Let me see here. If anyone, Black Christmas
Okay.
is
Great one.
one of my another all-time favorite nightmare fuel films. Very early slasher film directed by Bob Clark, who went on to do A Christmas Story, which I always found completely ironic that he did one of the most beloved Christmas movies and one of the most terrifying Christmas movies. But I mean, that's just a great one. And along the lines of the mutation type thing is 2009 Infestation.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about these giant bugs that kind of come out of nowhere. And if
That's a
they
fun one.
sting you, have you seen that one?
Yep, I have it. It's fun.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, they sting, then you mutate into this giant fly, mosquito, bug, human thing. Yeah, real fun.
Nice. Yeah. Again, like I said, both of you guys, when you get a chance, shoot me those movies, and I'll when this episode comes out, I'll have them in the little episode description. I'll have a link, like the IMDb link, and people can click the link just so you know. But I got two movies. One of them I actually started watching this week with my wife. We didn't finish it because we fell asleep, the work week and all that. But there was a movie she wanted to watch, Dolly Dearest,
Oh yeah.
which is, I believe we're about halfway done with it. I've never seen it before, so I can't really describe it too much. But I will say it's a fun freaking movie so far, and I like creepy doll movies. I really do.
Oh, I'm a sucker for a creepy doll movie. Absolutely.
And I'm gonna have to throw in another movie. This is a movie that my brother Henry recommended me and my wife to watch probably about 3 or 4 years ago. We started it and she got bored with it, so we haven't finished it or watched it since. But I want to go back to it and watch it. But the movie Dolls.
Oh, I love dolls.
So
Yeah.
So those two movies right there, my Dolly Dearest and Dolls, are my two horror movie recommendations. And I always champion this movie. If you haven't seen, actually, there's gonna be two movies I'm gonna say to go out and check out if you haven't seen them. I'm gonna say go see Terrifier. That was a fun movie, really gory slasher, and check out Never Hike Alone. Again, if you haven't seen that, go check that movie out. And I actually did an interview with the director / the guy who played Jason, Vincent DeSante, and that episode will be coming out in a few weeks also. So
Nice.
be ready for that.
I'm a backer for that. I can't wait for it to come out.
Yes, man. Me too. And he did say this on the episode, but I'm gonna tell you guys now that because I'm a backer for it too for the Blu-ray, but I was too late to get the masks. But after they make the masks for the backers, it's gonna take a little bit of time. But they're gonna make like another 50 at a time, and start. They're gonna. So we'll be able to get if you didn't get a chance to back it to get the mask, you'll have a chance. He's gonna when that comes out, they'll let you know and all that. So I'm definitely gonna get one of those masks.
Yeah. I really did enjoy that one, and I won't spoil anything, but I was sitting at home in my recliner watching this on YouTube and jumped out of my seat at the end.
Oh yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. I did you could say Dino, you couldn't spoil that. I actually did an episode on that, and I dropped it on Friday the 13th actually, and I did spoil it, and I did that big ending you're talking about. It was discussed, and it was also discussed.
Oh, okay.
It was also
Freaking
discussed.
Tommy Jarvis, man.
Yes.
I was like, oh my god,
that was so awesome. And it was also discussed in the interview with Vincent. And the cool thing about it was like, as far as the movie goes, what I liked about it was how it was Tommy. You know what I mean? Like he played the Tommy character, and like he to Jason, remember me. Like I love that part of it because they could have had him going in there as the actor, but he could have been playing Tommy, but say for a different storyline, like an alternate universe type of thing. You know how movies do, or he could have just played a completely different character, and they just had him play the same character. And I was just like, that is so cool, and
on a maggot head and everything.
Yeah, and like in this episode with the interview, which I might try to actually get it, drop it out, or do like a double, or drop it on like a Friday or something, and have my regular episode come out on a Sunday. And there's some fun things. It's a fun episode that everybody should definitely check out when it comes out. Actually, it's gonna be out before this, so I'm telling you guys more than anybody. But I guess we can about wrap it up. I mean, you guys can plug your social medias and your podcasts and all that, and we'll go from there. So,
all right.
Dino, you can go ahead and plug yours first if you want to.
All right. Yeah, I'm at a what? That is spelled AWHAAAT podcast. A what podcast?
What podcast?
A what?
What?
Exactly.
Sorry.
Oh man.
Exactly. And that's my Twitter. We have a Facebook page also, and you can find our stuff. We're on iTunes. We're hosted through the Farsighted Network.
Mm-hmm.
That's FARSIGHTED Network. You can find us at farsightedblog.com. And we're on SoundCloud at a What Podcast.
Nice.
Cool.
And Matt?
Okay. For me, if you're on YouTube, my normal YouTube channel is You and Your Horror Movies, where I do video reviews, show off my collection, show off films, collectibles, all that fun stuff. For my podcast, I'm on Cinema Attack. We're on the Horrorphilia Network. I recommend checking out, where we attack all different types of cinema, not just horror, not just action, but everything. We're actually going to be recording one tonight. We are doing the Not of This Earth trilogy. We're doing the original from 1957, the remake from the 1980s, and the remake from the 1990s.
Nice. And I might as well
also too. Sorry,
we
also have a Facebook group page too. Cinema Attack on Facebook. It's a group page. So if you want to check that out, please do.
Did you plug your Instagram too, Matt?
Oh yeah, duh. Thanks.
Yep.
I do have it. I did make an Instagram account. It is you and your horror movies, all one word, no spaces. You'll be seeing a lot of pictures of my collections and movies and everything. Definitely recommend you guys come on over and check it out.
Awesome, awesome. And as you guys all know, you can find me. I'm on, as far as my podcast goes, I'm on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and pretty much any other podcast platform besides SoundCloud. And then I have a Facebook group and a Facebook fan page, both same name, Horror with Sir Sturdy. I'm also on Twitter. It's HW underscore with underscore Sir or underscore Sturdy. I believe that's what it is. And then I'm on Instagram. That's horror underscore with underscore Sir underscore Sturdy. It's just the way Twitter and Instagram work. So, yeah, you can find me on those. And you can also, if you want to be a guest on this episode, or if you have a request you want me and someone else to review a movie or a horror topic, you can send me an email at horrorwithsir.sturdy@gmail.com. Again, that's horrorwithsir.sturdy@gmail.com. Send me an email, and I'll get back to you, and, we'll figure out a time and all that, time and date, and I'll hit you up. Dino found me on Twitter. He hit me up, and I emailed him back, and here he is. So, you guys, both of you guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you so much for coming on, and I had a great, great, great time, and this was an awesome movie.
Again, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Anytime, and as you listeners know, how I wrap it up, so I'll see you